In Latin America, since long time ago, the mass media have been covering topics on science and technology. In Brazil, for example, since the beginning of the 19th century, there are interesting examples of science stories published in the newspapers. A nice example is the newspaper O Patriota, The Patriot. After the Second World War, the attention toward science and technology increased worldwide. In this context, in the 60s, a movement in favor of science journalism arose in Latin America. This movement emerged with the encouragement of Manuel Calvo Hernando, Manolo, a Spanish science journalist who died in 2012. By the 60s, he joined some Latin American colleagues aiming to promote the profession in regional mass media. So, the group started organizing seminars, congresses, and courses. In 1969, the Ibero-American Association of Science Journalism was created. Calvo Hernando was its first president, and the Argentinian physician and journalist Jacobo Brailovsky its vice president. Then, some national associations came up, for example, in Brazil, Colombia, Chile, and Argentina. In order to know the current situation of science journalism in Latin America, a survey was recently conducted among 275 journalists from the region. If we need to choose a face for representing science journalism in Latin America, it would be a young woman. But we can also say that there is a sort of balanced distribution among different generations. 57% of the science journalists who answered the survey have a full-time job. Another 12% are independent, although they also work full-time in science journalism. In respect of training, more than half are graduated, 29% have a master's degree, and 9% a doctorate. Other 9% got their skills from the practical experience in journalism. No difference were observed in terms of getting a job considered the training degree. In other words, those who followed a postgraduate course not necessarily were more likely to get a job. Print media and the internet are the main media outlets where the surveyed journalists work. A smaller percentage work for radio and TV, which is a pity, considering that these are the mass media with a higher reach in the Latin American society. In regard of the purpose of their work, 41% believe that it's informing and 23% say that it's translating a complex material into an accessible language. Few believe that their work is to mobilize the public opinion or to watchguard the public authorities in order to ensure the interest of the audience. Another relevant aspect highlighted by the survey was the low percentage of journalists who say to have systematic strategies to know their audience, only 20%. In European countries and in the United States, many claim that science journalism is in crisis. In Latin America, the feeling seems to be different. The survey found a unique enthusiasm in the region with regard to the profession. Only 20% believe that science journalism is in crisis. More surprising is the result obtained when they were asked whether they would recommend the profession of science journalist to other people. 91.3% said yes, a response that conveys their optimism with regard to the career of science journalism. Any other regions of the developing world, what would it be like, the view of the journalists with regard to science journalism? To answer this question, SciDev.net joined the Brazilian Museum of Life, the London School of Economics, and the Ibero-American Network for Monitoring and Training in Science Journalism, the three of them responsible for the Latin American survey, to set up the Global Science Journalism Report, which involved 1,000 science journalists from different countries. We invite you to discover the report, which brings up some very interesting results.